Hey, what's up, Colorado? And welcome to our fourth webinar in the Ultimate House Hacking Guide for Colorado. Today, we're talking what a lot of people talk about, how to underwrite house hacks. And so this is a very important topic because we want to make sure we make money and build wealth when we're out there investing in real estate using the house hacking method. So what we get the question of a lot is, well, can I house hack and make money in today's environment with higher prices and interest rate in the 6 to 7% range? Short answer is yes. And we're going to go through 4 common property types and 4 investing strategies and show you how they underwrite. And at the end, we're actually going to give you a sneak peek preview of the house hack stack overview. So we're going to cover a combo long-term and medium-term rental. The second is a room-by-room rental. The third is an off-market triplex. And the fourth is a short-term rental. So I would love to ask around the panel first, or maybe the audience, probably a better question. Which one of these properties is going to cash flow the best? Long-term, medium-term, room-by-room, off-market triplex, and short-term rental. We will find out over the next 40 minutes. All right, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to one of our sponsors, Law Mother. Pamela Moss-Garrett owns and runs this business. She's done my estate planning, and I know she's done Ben's as well, a bunch of our clients. If you guys need estate planning, and it's something that we all should do, it's not fun, but she makes the process extremely easy and is just an A-plus professional. So if you need it, go talk with her and her team. They are rock stars for estate planning. All right, like I said earlier, this is our 4th webinar in our house hacking underwriting, or our 4th webinar in our house hack series. And this one is on underwriting. If you need the previous recordings, reach out to Ben. He'll hook you up. We've got a link for that. And host, I'm Chris Lopez. I'm the guy in the blue. We got Ben Einspar, who's our short-term and medium-term expert, plus active house hacker. Good afternoon, Ben.
How you doing?
Really good. Jeff White, who is an active house hacker, an agent at Envision Advisors, and also does room-by-room self-management and a few other things as well.
Yeah, I take long walks on the beach.
That
too. All is good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is Troy Howell, who's our go-to lender. We've been working with for years and years and years, and all we hear back is amazing things from our agents and clients. He knows the game, he knows house hacking, and he's also here in Denver, and he knows the market, which is always great with lenders. So Troy, glad to have you back.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so I know we got a lot of people in the chat here, and I think a lot of them have worked with us, worked with Troy, worked with Jeff. So you guys have any questions throughout, let us know. Otherwise, welcome back. So I want to give a little context here before we jump on underwriting, is that what we are presenting here, these 4 properties and the underwriting guidelines are not stuff that we just made up or just pulled out of thin air. This is based off of, well over 100 deals in the organization just for house hacking. A lot of us have bought house hacks here at the table, lots of conversations, and so many just damn deal analyses over these. That should probably be like 10,000 plus deal analyses. I think we got a 0 there. So all this comes up from just real life knowledge of ourselves, wanting to really know 2 things. How can we as investors go out there and make the best moves? And also how as realtors and lenders can we go out there and help our clients go out there and make the best moves? So all that's wrapped up into what we're covering here on the underwriting. And last thing I'll say before getting here is we want to keep in mind our 3-factor alignment. So that's the market. So that's Denver. The strategy, and we're going to do long-term, medium-term, short, room-by-room, multifamily, all sorts of stuff, and then goals. And so it's really all about finding where that sweet spot is, where they all 3 overlap. Now, we're going to be mostly focused on that market and strategy circles right there. And then we'll also give you a little, we'll contextualize it with what type of client and their goals and their situation on how it's working. Because here is the short answer. House hacking in Denver in today's higher interest rate market still makes sense and it still works. And then one final note here at underwriting is we are not doing a detailed underwriting webinar here to tell you how to do everything line by line or this metric or this metric. And that's really for a couple reasons. One is we cannot possibly cover everything when it comes to short-term, medium-term, long-term, and room-by-room rental in 45 minutes. Plus, we would put you guys to sleep. And so we want to give you the high level stuff to let you know, hey, what's working? What are the rough numbers like? What parts of town we're seeing in them? And then from there, For our clients, we always teach people how to underwrite as we start doing that process ourselves, as clients work with us on the lending and brokerage side. And that's something that takes a lot of time and is a lot of one-on-one work we do. So we keep that more for clients to give that one-on-one time. We also have a bunch of old videos that teach you the details of underwriting. If you guys want to learn on your own, we can share those with you. But the point of this webinar is to show you what's working, but not necessarily teach you how to fish on underwriting. That we do for our clients. So when it comes to house hacking, and we're shifting into the underwriting portion here, there's really two main ways to look at it. There's why you're living there and once you move out. Mm-hmm. Pop quiz, Jeff. What's the most important?
After you move out.
Why?
Because it's, you basically don't want to, you're not going to live there forever. And it's a future investment property, and you want to look at the numbers not just while you're living there, but after move out, because that's the end goal for all of us here, is to have a perspective and understanding of where it's going to be at.
Yep. And I always like to say my metaphor is when you look at the house hack deal, you're going to look at it through your rental glasses. You're putting on your glasses and say, how's it look as a rental? Because there's two ways to analyze it. Why you're living there, and then once you move out. So always look at as once you move out. That is the more important number. Why? Because it comes down to like a very key and simple principle that I think a lot of people get wrong. I got wrong when I was younger and newer to like investing in wealth building. And that is understanding the difference between savings and building wealth. Savings is, hey, great, you're living in a house hack and maybe you're living there for free or making $200 or only living there for $200 a month. Phenomenal. You're saving $1,000 to $2,000 a month comparison to like market rent. Phenomenal. That generally does not build wealth, though. What builds wealth is having multiple properties and multiple assets. Because if Jeff goes out there and buys one house hack, which is a polar opposite of what he did in real life, but he buys one house hack and he's living there for free. But actually, no, he's making $1,000 living there. I buy a house hack and I'm not making any money. I'm actually paying a few bucks to live there. But over the next 10 years, Jeff stays there and he's saving $1,000 a month. I house hack every single year and I have 10 properties. Well, in 10 years, who's probably wealthier? I think I am.
Mr. Chris.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
I got more Monopoly pieces than you do.
Yeah.
And we all know Monopoly.
More greenhouses.
Yeah. You know what that leads to? You'll get pissed off. We get in the fight. The game ends early. And then we all get an argument, right?
And it's 3 a.m. and yeah.
I mean, that's how my Monopoly game
Go to
goes.
jail. Yeah.
But really want to highlight that principle there, because as I've talked to clients, so many people, like, while you want to save money, it's very important. Don't get fixated on that and lose sight of the big goal, which is the wealth building, which is, if you have 10 properties, we're talking 7 figures plus of like wealth building through cash flow and equity. So, yeah, someone says that's how their Monopoly experience is as well. And then you add alcohol in there and it gets really bad,
I've experienced that one.
And then what we're going to do here is we've actually, the last 2 years, we've been working on a really cool piece of software called Property Llama. And this has been an internal tool that we've been using and building for the last 2 years with the goal of doing a couple things. First off, eliminating spreadsheets. The second goal of having one centralized place. It lives in the cloud versus, 30 spreadsheets over my email history in a Google Drive folder. It's a lot more organized. So you can go create a free account there. We did officially launch. Scan the QR code and go to propertyllama.com, but you will see screenshots through here on how we underwrote it. And we did that to show you the software, but also to show you a lot of the cool graphs it produces that shows you that wealth building aspect, not just a cash flow or a cap rate phone number. So I want to go off into the first strategy here, and this is a combo strategy of a long-term rental and medium-term rental. And Ben, You're doing one of these yourself right now, or you've done in the past.
Yep, I have a stabilized one, so it's a rental now. Yep. Same strategy.
And this is a recent deal because you bought yours 5 years ago at a 3% interest rate.
Yep.
We're looking at higher prices and 6+ interest rate.
Correct.
Walk us through this one, man.
Yeah, so it's a great property because the house hack was already built before they found the property. So all of the tenants or the previous owners actually did all the work before going in and buying the property. So the purchase price was $500,000, interest rate 6.25%. So total closing costs is about $40,000, and that includes furnishing because they're going to furnish the mother-in-law suite to be a medium-term rental. And so for some quick underwriting, the medium-term rents are about $2,400 a month, and after they move out, the main level that they're living in will be $2,400 a month. And one thing to keep in mind is that these are very conservative numbers that I put in here. One, because we like to underwrite very conservative, under promise, over deliver. Two is because the main level, that's a shared space. So that you're not going to get premium rent for that because they're going to be living in a single family house with people living the same. So you're not going to get premium rents. Yep. Just one thing to keep in mind after moving out when underwriting, because I've been doing this a while and that's what I see. And that's what I've seen from personal experience.
Man, great overview there. And you hit on some really key points there. Hopefully you guys go back and listen to those like 5 bullet points been rattled off because he said it so succinctly, but they're really important things to keep in mind. So Troy, I got a question here for you. So I'm looking to buy, I, as a house hacker, the young entrepreneur, I'm going to go buy this property. And I say, hey, here's my plan. I'm going to do 5% down on this house. I qualify, but I'm going to live on the main floor and do medium-term rental, and I should get $2,000, $3,000 a month in income. Are you going to count that income for me?
Not initially when you buy it. You've got to be able to float the boat on your own.
Okay. Again, another key point here, since this is not a multifamily, this is a single family home, we cannot use income from other parts of the house, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So keep that in mind. Always a great question. I, as the individual borrower, my debt to income ratio, my overall income and credit worthiness, I have to qualify for this, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Part 2 of the question, if that investor files taxes the next year for the prior year, shows that income,
right,
has the lease in place now, wants to buy the next one, how long of lease do they need on that, like the one they're vacating and also that other one?
A year lease on the vacating house will count for underwriting purposes for the loan.
To make that mortgage payment from that first one not count against their debt to income.
Right, to wash some of that payment off the debt to income ratio.
Perfect. So in this case then, to follow up on Jeff's, I move out, we're going to do a long-term rental, signed lease, 12-month signed lease, $2,400 a month. And I say, hey, but Troy, the last 11 months, when we're in medium-term rental, I'm averaging $2,500 a month. Can you use both of those incomes, or is it just the long-term rental signed lease?
Long-term rental signed lease, but if you have a tax return with a Schedule E, then we might have a good chance of underwriting off of that, whichever one gives us the best number.
Yep,
gotcha.
Perfect. All right, so you guys can see here, we could spend like seriously 20 minutes talking about this one topic here, but we want to highlight this because this is where things start getting a little more complex with the game of house hacking, especially as we're trying to make sure we maximize cash flow in today's environment. And this is why you need to work with a team of people that understand this, especially a lender, so they can help you figure out, hey, in a year from now, we can do this, this, and this. And Troy's one of those lenders that knows that. So get to high level, but then go talk to Troy to make sure you're lined up correctly for the next house hack. All right. Back on track to you, Ben. Give us some underwriting here.
Right on. So after they move out, total rent is about $4,800. A couple things to note. You'll see other income. With these unique properties where it's a mixture of a short-term or a medium-term rental and a long-term rental, utilities come into play. I'm not going to get into the nuances, but you have to maybe do some bill back in to make sure you're covering your cost. Vacancy, I did 10% because just underwriting purposes, and the long-term rents won't be tough to keep occupied. It's those medium terms, because what do you do if someone books in the middle of the month? Then you have like a 15-day vacancy. So you really have to be sure you manage that appropriately.
So that's a blended vacancy.
Yep, that's blended. So that's blended.
Because a lot of times for long-term, we're like 3 to 5% vacancy.
Oh, yeah. Long-term.
But higher for medium-term,
right?
So
I ended up blending it.
Perfect.
Yep. So you'll see total cash flow averaging through all income expenses is about $340 a month. So does it work in high interest rate environment? Yes.
Yeah, so once you move out here, we're going to have total income about $4,800 or about $5,000 with utilities to get all the expenses, take out the loan payment, the loan, PMI insurance, and it's cash flowing $336 a month, self-managing.
Yep.
So that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you had the property management there, it would probably be what? Slightly negative cash flow then? Maybe my guess, right?
A little bit more than slightly, because you got to have 2 property managers, Chris.
Oh, the medium-term rental.
Yep.
Glad you're paying attention.
But the great thing working with us is I've done this for many years. I've done the underwriting. I'm able to set you up. It can be done, and it should be done early on.
So, I mean, we went through a few things here, and is the underwriting perfect? Is that blended vacancy of 10% perfect? Absolutely not. But here's the thing. This is it's very fast underwriting, but it gets you really, really close to like a couple percent of how it performs. And realize that, hey, whatever you underwrite, no matter how well you do it, once you actually buy the property and operate for 12 months, does the actual numbers ever match up to the pro forma? Not for me.
No.
For you, Jeff?
No. That's why it's a pro forma numbers.
And sometimes they're better, and sometimes they're worse. But understand this: you don't have perfect underwriting while you're looking at properties. Get really, really good enough, and that matters. And then once you're under contract, do a much more detailed underwriting then. So, but from a high level, you can move out and it'll cash flow. What about while we're living there, Ben? So this is the second way.
Yep.
Moving out, that's the wealth building way. While we're living there, we're saving money, which is always good.
Yep. So while living there, $2,400 for the medium term rental. And then you'll notice I crossed off the other income. That is utilities. You're going to be covering 100% of the utilities yourself. So costs for this house hack while you're living in there, including all income expenses, roughly $1,900 a month.
Okay.
I'll call that a win.
And then Ben, we've talked about this before.
Yes.
People with families, they always say like, oh, I can't house hack because I have kids or my wife or my husband. Like they find a way to say they can't. Would you say this property kind of works for families?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge property, 5-bedroom, 4-bath house, pop top, plenty of room, separate entrance, 100%. Yeah. I showed it to my wife and she said, wow, I like that because it has great outdoor space you can sell as well.
Likes it better than the new build townhome you're in?
I
like new stuff a lot.
He hesitated.
There's the out.
Do you need to text your
New
wife
is
real
nice.
fast?
I know. She may be watching stuff to make sure I give the right answers.
Let us know, Allison.
Yeah, let us know. You've seen it. I'm sure.
All right. So now what this view is here, this is a screenshot. We're not going to go through every single number on here. But you guys can look at this in detail with the slide deck. But Ben, you highlighted a big number.
I want to cover that. So people watching live or on the recording, look at your total return on your 5% down investment is 132% on your initial investment. That's the true benefit of house hacking and buying an asset for low 5% down payment. And you'll see on the property Jeff is about to do, you'll see what I highlight when they do 20% down. So take a look at that. And that's the true value of house hacking with buying these assets for 5% down.
Yeah. And I mean, this, when you first see these numbers, because I know we have a lot of new people and aspiring house hackers on these things, you're like, wait, what? How? I don't understand the math. Like it's a mind pretzel. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we conflate cash flow with a high return. As we said a few slides ago, hey, they're saving money, and there's the wealth creation. And the wealth creation is buying leveraged real estate. No matter what model you run, the more leveraged real estate you own, assuming in the long run that prices and rents go up, they don't crash, but in the long run they go up, you always make more money that way. Yep. And so all this is doing here on the right-hand side, you see is $33,000, which is a rough summation of the 4 ways to make money in real estate. That's divided by your total down payment, which is what, $29,000 or $30,000 or something. And that gives you this crazy 132% number. Wow. So understand that, like, while you're not making a huge cash flow, that little bit of money you have in there is just working so hard for you. And man, it's about the best use of those dollars. All right, so a common question we get on here is, hey, I like medium-term rentals, but how do I estimate medium-term rental income?
I get that all the time. So in general, it depends on the property type, the size, location, and how well you're able to market it. But I was able to underwrite this very quickly because I've been doing it a while. But there's 2 options you have. One, you can do it yourself by diving into all the data and seeing what's booked, what's not. Or if you want to do it the quick and easy way, reach out to Maylene, one of our great sponsors, and there's her contact information, and she will do a one-time market analysis for you for a fixed rate. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Maylene and she'll get that over to you.
Yeah, so great options on here. And again, you got to learn some stuff to learn how to underwrite yourself. You work with our team. We give you some really good rules of thumbs.
Yes.
And then when you get serious about a property under contract, really do the detailed underwriting. Pay Maylene to do like a study for you and really to kind of like measure twice then.
Yes. If I would fast forward back then 2019, well use my money right there.
Yep. All right. Awesome stuff. So move on to property number 2 here, which is a triplex multifamily. So we always like to talk about recent deals. And so this was, I think, a property like 7 days ago, 8 days ago. One of my just friends around town emailed me. They're a commercial multifamily brokerage, but they came across this deal. Hey, Chris, this would be perfect for a house hack, we think, for like you and your team and your clients. And so they forwarded over to us. So it's a off-market triplex house hack. So, I mean, this is something that so many people want. If it was just a fourplex, we'd hit like the trifecta in terms of like what we see in bigger pockets here. But that multifamily off market is one of the biggest questions we get. Hey, how do I get those? So we're going to talk about the numbers here because you might be surprised at the result. So I got the email and said, Jeff, check this out. Do you have any clients for it? And by the way, underwrite for the webinar next week. So tell us what you found out here.
Yeah. So this triplex is, people always say that the holy grails are the triplexes and fourplexes in Denver Metro. And this one in particular is in, one of the more like fantastic areas to live in. So, it's going to be.
Well, it's on near Tennyson Street, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, it's in
a hot spot.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fun spot to be in.
Yeah. So no one could say, well, it's not in my favorite part of town. This one is in majority of people's favorite parts of town.
Cool. Yeah.
So then that's why it's reflected in the purchase price. So because of that high purchase price of $1.1 million, unfortunately, in Troy, you can confirm, if I'm the buyer on this and I say, hey, Troy, I want to use FHA 3.5% down, can I use it?
No.
And why is that?
Because you have to go through the underwriting process and you've got to be able to support a good portion of the payment on your own, even though it's owner occupied. So when you run the calculations, and you guys will talk a little bit more about this, you end up having to put more money down, which kind of defeats the purpose.
Yep. Yeah. And it goes back to the FHA self-sufficiency test we talked about in the financing webinar, where for triplexes and fourplexes, you can't do 5% down conventional. It's really FHA or VA. Mm-hmm. And since most of our clients or most people are not veterans, they can't do 0% VA. So we're looking at FHA. And this one, it's going to be like a 20% plus down payment.
Yes. Just to even make for that self-sufficiency test, even to use FHA, you have to put 20% or more down. And then at that point, you'll be like, well, I might as well use conventional. Right. If I'm going to go that high down payment, because FHA has a mortgage MIP, mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. Except that's not true either. It's actually
for a good period.
Yeah, for a good period for that much down payment. But so if you switch over to conventional, now we're at $220,000 down payment to buy this triplex.
Yeah. So, we're going to go through the writing on here, but when you want to hit this this note here, because we've talked about this a few times, but we get this question all the time. It's a great question. And don't kill the messenger. We are just saying, hey, we would like that too, but here's the market reality. And this goes back to that market strategy concentric circles where, hey, we want to do the strategy. The market's like, yeah, well, that's nice. You're not going to do it though. So pretty standard triplex, other than this amazing part of town. 2-bed, 1.5 bath, 1, and another 1-bed, 1 bath, with one of those places being a medium-term rental, which for that part of town, you absolutely would be a great spot for a medium-term rental. All right, so we're going to just pretend that we buy this with 20% down and some closing costs, so we're in it for about $250,000. So we talk about low down payments. I don't have $250,000 laying around. Can we pull some money together, guys?
Troy, can you help me out here?
Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
But walk us through the numbers here on rent and expenses. Give us an idea about what this would cash flow at a 20% down payment.
So this is right after you move out. That's the way you want to start. And 20% down, it's a lot of money, but when we walk through the numbers, it actually still kind of makes sense if this goes back to your goals and strategies, and this is what you're looking for to live in this part of town. So $7,600 includes 1 normal 1-bed, 1 bath long-term rental, 1 medium-term rental, and one just the bigger units, also long-term. 2 long-terms, 1 medium-term. So you get that 7,600 gross, and then we take out vacancy, all the standard expenses for operating the property, and now you get down to loan payment because it's $1.1 million asset. It's going to be a larger loan payment, and it's at the 6.25% rate. So net, you're even with all that, you're at $400 a month cash flow.
Yeah. So think about that for a second. The property Ben just talked about, that was about $40,000 all in.
Yep.
And there's about cash flow of like $330 a month.
Yep.
So $40,000 all in to make $330 in cash flow a month, or $250,000 all in to make $400 a month in cash flow. Now, of course, there's some other things, but like that's the contrast there, guys, is like, number one, it's a lot more money and the cash flow's about the same. And something we want to note on here too is we are actually assuming self-management, not a professional property management, to help keep expenses down. You put a professional property manager in there, you'll be negative cash flow. And while living there, you backed out, I think, one of the rooms for $670, right, Jeff? Yep.
And net, you're living in this great part of town for $700 a month. I mean, I would say if that was your goal to, like, I want to live in this best part of town, then that's pretty good. I don't think you could live for much more than a closet over there in that part of town for that price. So that might fit the investor's goals, going back to the original mindset.
Yeah, well, it's that price after you put down $250,000. That's the asterisk on
I
there.
don't know too many people that have $250,000 sitting around.
Yeah. And so this is a screenshot again of doing like the overall just like property overview on here. And Ben highlighted again that same graph that shows the percent that your down payment, that $250,000-ish down payment is making you. And this is only 35%. The other one was, I think, 135%.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There was a 1 in front of there.
Yep. And I mean, all in all, you want your each dollar working as hard as you can for you, even though you're getting a larger like actual return per month. Each dollar isn't working as hard as it was on the initial house hack, single family home.
Yep. So again, look at this. $77,000 in total estimated return in year 1. You divide that, and that's on the right-hand side in that circle. You divide that by the net worth down payment of $220,000. That gives you 35%. Now, again, 35% of your money in general is still amazing. Like, I don't get that many other places other than real estate. So I don't want to like down, but oh my gosh, only 35%. It's still an amazing return on your money, which I'm not getting otherwhere than, real estate. But compare that. I want to go back to
132.
132.
Yeah, to Ben's property here for the short-term and medium-term rental. I'm sorry, the long-term, medium-term combo. It's 132% of your money, and that's just simple math. $33,000 divided by, or is it about $25,000, gives you that 132% return on your money. So a big difference there, and that's where you can't just look at cash flow in real estate. And then this is why we go back to, hey, what's the house hack stack? How do you go out there and build long-term wealth? And it's these small things. Well, we say small. It's these very small numbers that most people gloss over, but we spend weeks and months and years analyzing, figuring out, and this is the way you build wealth, is you get the higher returns.
And one more final point on that too. It's 7 times more capital required to buy that one than the property Ben showed. So that investor, the capital required is so much. And then it hurts buying future properties. Mm-hmm. So as much as you get the triplex dream, you're like, sweet, I got my triplex, but now you just spent all this money and now it limits the future properties you could buy because you just cashed out. And you just probably, in that example, you might be like withdrawing 401k money, IRAs, like just to get that dream property. Yep. And now a year later, like it hurts your potential path of house hack stacking because of how much required down payment required for that property.
And of course, you guys, if you're eligible out there to the VA loan, they can do 0% down, right, Troy?
Correct. Owner occupied.
Yeah. Again, for a house hack or occupied, you can. Again, that's a very small slice of our clients out there and the general population. Again, thank you guys and ladies, for your service, and you get a 0% down loan as part of the thank you from the government. So triplexes we talked about, very hard to do in the market, mostly due to financing reasons. All right, property number 3. Let's talk about some rent by the room rental models. And Jeff, this is all you, man.
Thank you. I like little the slide here. Ben wrote a little young professional looking to aggressively build wealth, aka Jeff Jr.
This is a Jeff Jr.
I think I like Jeff the second better. I always like the seconds and the Roman numerals more than juniors and seniors.
Okay.
For future slides.
Thank you. I'll for 5 and 6.
Awesome. But anyways, rent by rooms, a fantastic model. And this particular house, just your cookie cutter ranch style home. And price is $520 at 6 1/8%. 5% down conventional because owner occupied. And all in to buy this place, it is $20K. And also it's with a grant loan program. So actually it'd be a little bit less than that. Mm-hmm. So probably all in will be closer to $0 to $5,000 to buy a $500,000+ asset. So here's what's really interesting. It's a 6-bed, 3-bath place. And basically there's 4 of the rooms are just your standard share bathrooms. So the 750 number we're using for conservative numbers per room. And then 2 of the rooms have their own private baths. So 750 times 4, 850 times 2. So net, that number is $4,700.
And what part of town is this in, did you say?
Oh, just Aurora.
Aurora, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so $47 a month in rent.
Yep.
And then this is for after they move out.
After they move out.
Yeah, so walk us through the underwriting.
Yeah, so this one's great because this is the true power of rent by room. You're buying at a price and maximizing every square space in that property. So you're getting higher than market rents if you compared to rent if you rent it out as a long term. So that's why $4,700 looks so appealing. It's like, holy cow, $4,700 a month for a 6-bedroom. That's incredible numbers. And then you take out vacancy, all the normal operating expenses of property, like property taxes, insurance, utilities. Also, that's a big part of it because when you do rent by room, you include utilities and internet.
And
so
your utility bill is going to be generally a lot higher because you have
exactly
5 or 6 people there. All the time.
Yep. Yeah. But
$517 for utilities. That's
and you're kind of baking that in too because it's just part of the package of why roommate tenants want to live there.
Yep.
So then loan payment, PMI, because it's only 5% down, you get down to bottom line cash flow, $900 a month after you move out.
Wow.
Which is, we saw the other 2 deals. I would say, of course, I don't want to toot my own horn, but rent by room is the best strategy, as we can all see.
So Jeff, is your arm flexible enough to patch yourself like that?
I don't know which way.
Which arm to do it. Yeah. But one thing you glossed very quickly over, Jeff, is that the house was originally a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Now you're putting $6,000 to just add 2 bedrooms. You're going to pay off that $600 within the first month or 2. And so it's a huge, then you're getting infinite return on that. That's the value. Like, you've been doing this for 5+ years. You know how to look for larger homes where you can add bedrooms that will make great rentals after moving out.
Yes. I mean, that's really the key is people are like to, just find me a 6-7 bedroom place. But obviously in the Denver metro market, those aren't just obvious. You sometimes have to find that creativity of like, I could add 2 bedrooms here.
Yep.
Or there's an addition here. You can make this den a bedroom. And that's my favorite part is adding that value and helping the client see, it's actually a 6 or 7 bedroom place. And now the numbers look much better, as you can see right here. With that extra bedroom, it makes it an awesome cash flowing deal.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the best plays right now is finding those 4-bedroom houses where you can, for a few grand and, a couple weeks, add a bedroom or 2 and a bathroom or something.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so while living there, okay, so again, we underwrote it the most important way. Once you move out and you move on to your next property, your next house hack, but while you're living there, what's that look like, Jeff?
Yeah, so just take out one of the rooms and the owner occupant is taking 1 room, so it drops the number to $3,850. But the more important thing is that net cash flow is $44. So you could still live for free. This is the bottom line. You can still live for free if you're willing to do rent by room in the Denver metro market and with today's 6.5, 6.25 rates. And that's really the incredible thing is, holy cow, I could still house hack, still live for free in an expensive market, pay $520,000 for a property and live for free.
Yeah. Like,
Huge.
I love this strategy. And again, so you're living for free about breaking even. All right. So a couple really good questions on here. Just curious, do you generally plan on leaving these room or rent by the room houses as rent by the room, or do you plan on changing them to traditional?
Yeah, so I would say I usually leave it as rent by room because it's already set up. You have everything furnished in the common areas, kitchen. So it's obviously easier once you move out, fill your room, leave it as rent by room. And then when the point hits where you get long-term rents are close to what you're getting for rent by room, then you explore that option, maybe switching it to a long-term rental if the investor chooses that.
That, and also it kind of goes along too, like you're talking like, I mean, great answer about adding something on there. Like you're talking like pure market data.
Yeah.
There's also like the client. I'm going to use your story arc because, you know, we've been house hacking aggressively now for 6 or 7 years. Yep. And hey, you know, you're getting older, obviously. So, you know, as older, we generally all get a little, you know, want things take a little easier, but also your wealth is building up, like your overall cash flow, your overall net worth on the property is building up. So like, you know what? I don't have to work quite so much hard now because I can take a little bit less return on here to kind of hit the easier button for me. And I'm fine giving up a little bit more money because I'm really good overall position. Long-term rents have climbed up a lot. You know what? I can work a lot less and make just a little bit less money. So it is a balancing act. And that's a pretty normal, like just story arc for investors, I would say. Another question here. Are you primarily looking for places near colleges or certain areas, or just the right house near an area that has regular, typical demand?
Good question. So colleges would be the simple, easy thing to find. You just find it near a college, but Denver Metro does have colleges, but I would say I look more for economic drivers nearby. So military bases, like jobs, not
hospitals.
Just hospitals, like stuff nearby. So you're not reliant on one type of driver. Or like a college. Like what happens if, COVID happens, like another pandemic, and then the college is closed. Now your rent by room model doesn't work as well. But when you're next to a bunch of economic drivers, it works pretty much no matter, because you have so many factors helping you. And usually rent by room is the model that is affordable housing.
Yeah.
So you have people, if we go into recession next year or this year, whenever that is.
Eventually.
Yeah. What happens when someone drops from a 1-bedroom or studio to a roommate situation?
Yeah.
Now you have more demand in a rent by room scenario. So I think rent by room is fantastic in colleges, of course, but that's a slightly different model than this one's just more near a big city with a lot of economic drivers.
I don't think any of your places that you bought were right near a college, right?
No, they're all technically just in the Denver Metro
You're basically, metro area and kind of just the suburbs and, house track. Like, the regular houses. Are military personnel interested in room by room rentals?
That's I have not rented to any military, but if I was next to a military base, you can still advertise and target those because they get like their own housing stipend, and you could easily find people that are in the military, like if they're single and all that.
I know from our Colorado Springs team, which obviously, there's a lot more military down there, they see a lot more demand for it down there.
Yeah.
So short answer is yes, but again, it kind of depends on, a lot of inquiries in the spring. Someone is saying in the chat. So yeah, which is normal. All right. So want to show this screen here on this room by room rental in Aurora. You can see here, forgot the graph, the red chart there, Ben. 170% right there in that circle. I can't probably see my mouse on there, but there's that circle in the center. 170% where we saw in the other ones. 170% on your money in year one or year two. Freaking ridiculous.
Yep.
Like, this is awesome. And so again, same thing. You're making a bunch of money, divide by that very small amount of money you put down, gives you this huge return on your money. So again, really strong cash flow and the highest return. So far, room by room rental is working the best.
I'll see you guys later.
Just wait.
Ooh, all right. Them be fighting words. All right. Quick message here we want to highlight is that we do a lot of really cool house hacking meetups, Ben.
We do. They rotate every month between Saturday morning coffee and Thursday afternoon drinks. This upcoming one on the 25th, which is a Saturday, is 7 a.m. for coffee. So if you want to connect with Jeff and I, talk house hacking, ask questions, or just overall grow your network, take out your phone and scan that QR code and hit the RSVP. Or if you don't have it, reach out to me and I can get you the details. But come join Jeff and I.
Yeah, it's fun. Come grab a beer or a cup of coffee, depending on the time of day.
Yep.
Just come grab a drink. We don't judge.
Yeah.
All right. So last but not least is a short-term rental in Arvada. So Ben,
Yep.
you actually have a short-term rental in Arvada.
I do.
So talk us through this one.
All right. So this is the client we worked with was a young professional family that had the financial capability to buy a single family home, live in it for anywhere between 12 months to 24 months and not rent it out. And their game plan after they move out is to turn that into a full short-term rental, which works great for them because they have a family, they need the space, and they really don't want to deal with roommates. So that shows you all these different strategies work for each different type of living or professional status, I guess, the better way to put it. All right, so this is in Northern Arvada. Its purchase price was just under $500,000. Interest rate 6.5%, and all-in cost, including down payment and furnishing, is a little over $60,000. So you'll see the furnishing and repairs. They need to furnish it after they move out, and there was some updates that they will need to do after moving out to get it short-term rental ready, because this isn't one of the more popular short-term rental friendly cities. So you got to be competitive. And the great thing about this is they're going to live in it. So this is a little bit deferred cost that they can spread out throughout time. They don't need to do right up front, which is great. So income is, again, when I did this very conservatively, is about $550,
Holy, really?
$5,500 a month. And that was conservative.
Wow.
For
Wow.
a short-term rental. So the plan is we underwrote it as serving 6 people. And so it's a great 3-2 property, and it just fits the great buy box. And that's the beauty of it.
All right. So the underwriting here, $5,500 a month in just gross average monthly rent. Again,
Yep.
short-term rentals have a lot more seasonality. We're estimating about $5,500 a month on average, conservatively, right?
Yep.
What would you
Yeah.
put the range for, like, upside? I mean, $5,500 to $6,500, or what do you think the on average?
On the not being conservative on
Yeah.
it, I would go 57 to even 6,000, but I wouldn't tell anyone to do
Yeah.
that. Like,
No, I was just curious. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
and if they're really good and they have their systems in place, they can definitely get that, and they know to work the short-term rental market. So a couple other things is I ran it very conservatively and even added a little vacancy in there, you'll see. And then also you'll see other expenses that consists of miscellaneous outdoor expenses that they'll have to maintain after moving out, whether that's mowing, snow removal, etc. And then more money in there for property management software. So one thing to note is this isn't a set it and forget it strategy. It takes work. You're in an area where there's a lot of competition, so you have to be on your game. And that's the one great thing is I'm going to work with them. And when it comes time to setting this up, I'm going to walk them through because I've done it, and I'm going to help them set up an amazing short-term rental. Because if you do it with a property manager, the cost of the property manager, it doesn't work out. So they're going to self-manage for a little bit. While living there, $0. So they're paying about a little over $3,000 a month to live there.
And then the project annual return after moving out. Again, this is what matters, guys. Wealth building versus savings. In that center here, we got that center circle, 146%. So the other 3 examples we went through, hey, the person was living there and a lot of times living for either for free or greatly reduced amount. Great. They're saving $1,000 to $2,000 a month of expenses. Wonderful. This person, they have the luxury. They can afford the luxury of not needing tenants or roommates or, Airbnb guests in there. But when they move out, they're both making amazing returns.
Mm-hmm.
And this, guys, this is what matters the most when it comes to like building long-term wealth and success in real estate in general, but especially for house hacking. So don't get fixated on just how much you're saving or living for. Look at the numbers for once you move out and realize how much that low down payment high leverage loan is really making your dollars work for you. So really, really cool one here. Question here from Nicole. Ben, have you considered what would happen if Arvada moves to short-term rental limitations like Denver?
Yes, that's why it's always good to have a plan B and a plan C, to where you do a medium-term rental, which would work great, which I've done. I've pivoted from short-term rental to medium-term rental and long-term rental, but typically they don't work. But you just have to have a plan, a backup plan.
Yeah. And so here's the other thing too. I don't know if we mentioned about this Arvada during this webinar, but they're one of the few places around Denver Metro that allow for non-owner occupied short-term rental licenses.
Yep.
We won't go into all the details there, but from people that I've talked to who've talked to the planners out there, hey, if you have the license and rules do change, you should be grandfathered in. And generally speaking, that's how things happen. Even in like Summit County the last year or two, as they changed their rules, people are grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And so the assumption would be you get grandfathered in, but as Ben said, always have a plan B or plan C. But that's actually one of the nice things about Arvada is you can get licensed. And if you move there, get licensed. So you are doing things properly, and things change, you should be grandfathered in. If you need help putting a business plan together, reach out to us. This is what we like to do. We like to help people plan things. Actually, an hour before we were doing this webinar this morning, I was meeting with one of our clients, a guy named Mike. He's looking to do a room-by-room rental. We went through his property or his portfolio in Property Llama. He's looking to do a room-by-room rental to buy a property in Denver Metro up north. He just submitted his paperwork to Troy last couple of days. And so all the stuff we're talking about here is stuff we are planning. Like we were talking and texting an hour before this webinar saying, hey, we got this client, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. So if you need help figuring out what to do, please schedule a consultation with us. We love doing it. You can scan the QR code there or just reach out to any of us and we will get you taken care of. All right, so here's a fun thing to look at, and also just a sneak peek for our 6th webinar in here is, what if this was my house hack stack? Now, the house hack stack is what we call for when you buy a house hack, you move out, buy a next one, and you just kind of keep stacking the houses on there. So we're going to say, hey, let's just see about all 4 of these houses. And again, the numbers will be slightly off since we're kind of assuming, all in year 1 versus year 4, but you'll get the gist of it. So you can see there, we got 2 in Aurora and 1 in Denver and 1 in Arvada. So Ben, the house hack stack overview here.
Yep.
This is a screenshot here from Property Llama. And this is one of the cool things. I could spend 2 hours talking about this, but this is the screenshot of like the portfolio view in Property Llama where it shows you all the properties. You can see at the bottom there, short-term rental, Aurora room by room, Tennyson triplex, long-term, medium-term rental. That's literally the house hack stack right there.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows you the cumulative value of what you have. And that's going to be $2.5 million in real estate and $300,000 in equity, which is just the money you put down. But if you look at this, you'll be making tons of NOI, tons of cash flow. You're very highly leveraged. And you can see here, this is a great screenshot. So we'll go into a lot more details here in our 6th webinar. We actually dissect Jeff's portfolio, show the numbers, show the story, but also we're going to tell your story arc too, because someone asked you a few minutes ago about, hey, what happens in the future? Do you ever go from room by room to long-term rental? And we'll talk about that story arc with, hey, market conditions, plus like Jeff's own journey as an investor as well. And when it makes sense, you know what? I'm going to shift things around here. Why do we like the house hack stack?
For this particular one, I love it. Well, both Jeff and I, we talked about this, and why we like it is you're diversifying through multiple ways. You're diversifying your strategies through 4 different types of strategies to help for vacancy and just other options. And then you're also diversifying through locations as well, through, like we pointed out, Arvada, Denver, and Aurora. So it's a great overall portfolio with multiple different options you have in your tool belt. Anything you'd add, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would look at it, if this hypothetical investor bought all these and did all these strategies, just imagine how like sophisticated they'll become. So whatever market conditions are, interest rates won't even matter because they could handle pretty much any strategy out there and make it work. And to me, that's the best type of investor because there's the versatility and ability to adapt to market conditions.
Yep.
They're not saying, oh, I'll just wait till the market to crash. They're like, I'll make it happen because of this example with the diversification.
Yeah. And then going back here to just a 3-factor alignment, we went through 4 deals that, that we see a lot around Denver and clients ask us. But remember, it comes back to what's the market giving you? What's the strategies that you want to implement or manage or live with yourself? And where is it aligned with the goals? So we went through 4 different properties and showed you how they work in the market, how they work with strategies, and what type of investors they would look for. And so for the vast majority of people we work with, we can always find the sweet spot. But the sweet spot for me is different than the 3 of you guys at the table here. Mm-hmm. And nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm at a different phase of my life than you guys are. So a question we got in here, actually, I got an editorial correction as well. Nicole pointed out that not all short-term rental licenses in Summit County are grandfathered in. Some are have planned sunset dates. Thank you, Nicole. I'm glad you said that. And just for the record, I am not an expert in the mountains. So thank you. Okay, and so for next week's webinar, we're going to talk about, hey, you just closed, now what? And a lot of times this goes into, hey, you closed, you get the closing table, you're excited, you sign your loan docs, you get the keys. Now it's like, okay, how do I go operate the properties? And this is where like Ben and Jeff are amazing at. So we'll talk about what you do once you have a property closed and how do you go from, hey, great, I'm planning, I'm searching, now I have to go out there and actually implement my business plan and operate this property. We will show you how we go out and do that and give you a bunch of like tips and tricks on doing that as well. So that's next week. And so again, a big thank you to all of our sponsors, Envision Advisors, Troy Howe. Thank you guys, along with all of our other sponsors as well. These are all people we know, like, and trust and do business with. All right, so I see some questions in there. We'll hang out, answer some of these. Jacob asked, not directly related to this discussion, but have any of you made improvements specifically to attic air sealing, insulation, etc.? Has it paid off in the long run? These older house hacks tend to have fairly high heating and cooling bills. You guys have comments on there?
Yes, I can relate because my first house hack was one of the houses that were built in like the 50s or 60s. But luckily it wasn't really over under. It was over the garage. But you have 2 options. You can spend the money to eliminate that issue, or when whoever you're leasing to, whether it's a medium term, short term, long term, you announce those expectations up front, just announcing, hey, you're going to hear some foot traffic. Is that something that you're okay with? And if they're like, I don't know, then maybe my rental isn't the best fit for you. So it's just setting those expectations.
Well, I think he's talking about more about, is it worth to spend thousands of dollars on energy efficiency to save money?
No.
Yeah.
I also agree with that sentiment, Jake, just because it's like ROI, right? So are you going to, if you spend, call it $5-10 grand to put more insulation in your attic to lower your utility bills, you really won't get that return to even break even probably for 10 years or so, just because it's not the best use of your funds, especially in an older place. I would say, you're just going to have to, use a smart thermostat, of course. I know that's what you're using right now, but you could definitely set certain controls in place to mitigate the energy bills a little bit more. But paying for more insulation, I would say, in an older place is not the best use of your funds.
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, I've done this at like my own primary residence, and it's a house built in the late 90s, so it's not that old, and it's general, just kind of like suburban construction housing. So not the best, not the worst, but it's only 25 years old. And I've done some energy efficiency upgrades in there. If I go back, I want to do it. The other thing too, like I don't like saying this because I care about like always conserving resources, whether it's environmental resources, energy resources, or my dollar resources. I like to conserve things. For a lot of these properties, your tenants are paying the utility bills. And again, while that's, that's more on them, you actually get less of the return on the investment on there because you're not the one spending money on the energy, which again, in the grand scheme of things, probably isn't the best for overall energy efficiency, but it's also in like one of those just reality checks of, hey, is this worth the money in here in general? No. I think for while you're living there, especially if your tenants are paying utilities, it's even less a reason to do it.
And it just depends. Is this strategy that you're doing going to be the strategy you're going to be doing for the next 3, 4, 5 years? Or are you going to change, like Jeff mentioned, when you can't work to do a long-term rental, or maybe you might even sell it and go into a different asset class.
So someone asked about, can you negotiate a discount for poor insulation? I mean, you can ask for anything you want to in inspection objections, but generally speaking, no. I mean, they're going to be like, I mean, everything you have, like the insulation is not something that you're going to negotiate on. There's usually a lot of other issues like, oh, that electrical panel, oh, that water heater, that or this. Like, and I cannot think of any situations where a seller is going to really even care or even like entertain that. No.
Yeah, I mean, just from my own experience, every time I've done inspection objection, it's been more roofs, sewer lines, water heaters, furnaces, like big ticket items that are thousands of dollars that are true health and safety things, like windows that are broken, not like insulation you could ask for, but it has to be like a super motivated seller.
Yeah. And I mean, that's also part of like, hey, you're buying a 1960s house. That's that's what you get. So I mean, great question on there, but it's tough to do. So, all right, guys, this was a great webinar. Underwriting is always so fun to talk about. So again, if you guys need help on here, reach out to us. We can help you underwrite. The courses Ben and Jeff have on the website, teach underwriting as well. And this is a very important skill to learn. But find that sweet spot while you're out there doing the high level analysis for your strategy and you're doing the early underwriting. You don't have to be a super duper expert. You just have to be pretty good. And hopefully this gave you some guidelines and gave you a good, accurate landscape as to what's working around the Denver metro market at a 6+ interest rate. Because as we showed you, as long as you're not buying a triplex or fourplex, there's some really good options around here in Denver to go out there and build wealth, potentially get some triple-digit returns on your down payment, which is just insane, and go out there and build some long-term wealth. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Troy, Jeff, Ben, as always, thank you, guys. It's always great to sit at the table with you.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.